football panel. Really excited to get to know our guests a little bit more and the projects that they're working on. At the minute, we've got Marius Stegemann, who's going to be our keynote speaker, and he will start our session, followed by a discussion with Mana Dabcola, I'm so sorry everyone, Elena Montoro Garcia, Roberto Fernandez Villarino, Diego Garcia, Shubamoy Badari, and myself, Chidam Turkan. We'll go around to our guests to introduce themselves after Marius Stegemann's keynote session.
Yeah, welcome everyone. It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm feeling really honored that I got invited to do the keynote for this amazing panel. I'm Marketing and Communications Manager at EFDN. EFDN stands for the European Football for Development Network. We are a network of more than 100 European clubs, leagues, and FAs that exchange knowledge about CSR and work together on social projects across Europe. Together, we are reaching more than 1 million people through our activities every year. I already had the pleasure to collaborate with some of our panelists, for example, Elena and Diego, for conferences and campaigns. And yeah, I think we are all quite lucky that we can link our passion for football with social work. I think football can't save or change the whole world, but I'm convinced that football can be used as a tool to achieve changes in the lives of individuals. And social programs that are based on football can contribute to several sustainable development goals. For example, a player visit can motivate children to live a healthier lifestyle or to do their homework. Football memories are a great tool to reduce the effect of dementia on old people. Fans can benefit from the know-how and facilities of clubs to meet there or to do sports together. Footballers are very influential role models nowadays. Awareness campaigns can be used to address issues such as racism, discrimination, but also, for example, colorblindness. Today, for example, is Colorblind Awareness Day, and we are running a small campaign with other football organizations as part of the TACBIS project. And I think that football clubs can reach people in a way that almost no other organization in Europe can. Clubs and their foundations have stepped up also throughout the pandemic. For many people working in foundations and charities, the last year has been the busiest one ever. Together with fans, clubs have organized mass food donations, online sport and education sessions, battled loneliness together, but also isolation during lockdowns. Many football clubs did their part during the pandemic so far and created a real social impact. In my opinion, the time after the pandemic will be very interesting for CSR and exciting for everyone who works on social sport projects. It will be really interesting to see on how far the pandemic will have a long-lasting effect. On the one hand, some football organizations struggle because of restrictions and less revenues. On the other hand, there's a lot of demand for social commitment and also a lot of potential. More and more sponsors are actively searching for opportunities, how they can sponsor not only the first teams, but also social projects in the communities. Many companies use nowadays the language of the SDGs and are interested in contributing to the SDGs through football. The pandemic has led to new alliances between football organizations, hospitals, care homes, and other social organizations. At the same time, governments and public institutions like the European Union are demanding more social commitment and also reporting. Last but not least, also society is questioning how the different businesses can help to find answers to the really big questions like climate change, and the climate crisis, food poverty, inequality, and social cohesion. And I think football can be part of the answers to some of these really big questions and urgent questions. So there are already many sustainability initiatives out there, and the amount of projects and alliances is increasing rapidly. projects are set up on the local, regional, and national level, also on the European level. There are new partnerships with private companies and big corporations involved. Football data and technology can be used to promote, for example, STEM education and employability. So I think overall, the potential of football as a tool for development and also the demand is huge. And I think there are already many people using this potential. Luckily, we have today some excellent speakers that are already working on amazing initiatives and already are working on answers to these big questions, big issues. So I think it's for the best if I just hand over the word back to you, Sedam, and let the experts, practitioners talk and explain it by themselves. So yeah, I would like to thank you again for the opportunity, and I hope you all enjoy this panel on the social impact of football. Yeah, my greetings and all the best from the Netherlands.
Thank you so much, Marius, and we look forward to seeing more of the work that yourself and EFDN do throughout this season as well. So now we'll come around to each of our panelists who will be able to introduce themselves and some of the key projects they work on before we start to ask some questions. So if we go to Mana Debkola first, who's the CEO of the GIFT Global Initiative. I think Mana may have dropped out of the call. So if you don't mind, Eleanor, can we come to yourself? You're the International Project Manager at the La Liga Foundation.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to invite La Liga Foundation for this event. We think that it's very important to share our experience with the colleagues and to know about the project and activities because we learn a lot. So we would like to share a small presentation because we have 8 minutes to speak. So I'm trying to speak very fast. We would like to present our foundation and which activities we do and we implement at international levels. So La Liga Foundation is pioneer in the field of professional football, and it was set up in the 1993, so many years ago, as a private non-profit and cultural organization. Since this year, we have carried out many projects around the world and even at national level. But in the recent years, the foundation has undergone an exponential transformation with La Liga's clear determination to implement a professional social responsibility program in parallel with his current strategy. So nowadays, at Fundación La Liga, we work to implement a new social method to work, focused on generate a positive impact on the society through our professional performance. So this new method is based in having a corporate strategy as a foundation to define our main objectives, implementing an evaluation method to know the scope and the impact of our projects, identifying our main actors, and to be orientated to the main matters of our organization, who are our main actors, which expectation they have about our work, and which areas and social groups are the main ones for us, and try to support them. So this is the base, this is the new base for our job. So for the current situation that we are living and for this new method that we are implementing, we have reviewed our mission, vision, and values, and they are more in parallel of our current situation. So our mission is to drive La Liga social action and promote the corporate social responsibility of our clubs and foundations, fostering cooperation between them. Our ambition is to maximize football power, social transformation, and the way achieve a fairer, more inclusive, and more egalitarian society. And our values: inclusive leadership, transparency, teamwork, respect, equality, resilience, and innovation. And our commitment we would like, and we are focused to develop sustainable projects through football with the goal of having a positive impact on society. We are completely focused on measure the impact that our project has in the society or in the groups which we work. At international, our focus areas are divided into education, training, social inclusion, and strategy in management in corporate social responsibility. But we would like to speak about social inclusion because in these areas we implement our international project, and even one of our main projects at national level, which is La Liga Genuine Santander, the first official football league in the world for people with intellectual disabilities. At international level, we work with La Liga Zatari Social Project. This is a social program in the Zatari refugee camp in Jordan to improve the quality of life of children and young people among the Syrian refugees by using the football as a tool for social inclusion. In El Salvador, we work through La Liga Values and Opportunity to develop initiatives towards football social inclusion through training inclusion in the job market and as well encouraging volunteering activities through environment education. In India, the host country, we work with Fundación La Liga in the south of the country, and we are completely focused on try to improve the situation of women. We work with this foundation, which is based in India for many years, and even with La Liga Women's Football Department. And we promote social inclusion, gender equality, and youth empowerment through playing football in rural areas in the south of India. And in the Erasmus project, we collaborate with the European Commission through Erasmus program to promote social inclusion through sport. And here to finalize our numbers, because it's very important to measure the impact, how many workshops, training programs, professional training, how many boys and girls are involved in our project, because we would like to know the impact of our project and how many actors they are involved. So for the last slide is, as my colleagues say, it's very important to work with the agenda of sustainable development. So we call it in how many sustainable development goals we impact, the 3, 4, 5, you know, all of them, because we know and we think that the sport has shown itself to be an effective tool for achieving the SDGs set by the United Nations to promote peace and facilitate sustainable development. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Eleanor. That was really insightful and really useful to have some of the visuals behind the work that you're doing, and really great to hear from you. We also have your colleague on the call, Roberto Fernandez Villarino. He's the Director of Social Fair Play at La Liga Foundation. So Roberto, if you'd like to talk us through some of your work, please. We can see your slides, Roberto. Yeah, so, yeah, perfect.
That's now. Thank you. Good afternoon and good morning from Spain. First of all, congrats for all the people who has been working so hard in order to get the Congress possible. It's a pleasure for me to share knowledge with all my brilliant colleagues in this journey. So we are going to present the results and experience of a social project called Social Fair Play Social, that aims to transfer the principles of sustainability and social responsibility to the strategic vision of the company, and therefore to the core of the business. The project began in 2017 and it's currently being applied to organizations that have the particularity of belonging to the football industry. Companies assume the importance of sustainability strategies, but find it difficult to translate the concept into the concrete initiatives. The literature recognizes two phases in any strategy: formulation and implementation. The football industry is not turning aside from this debate. It highlights the profound process of economic transformation in recent decades. However, the main milestone that have promoted sustainable management in the football industry has been the common framework of financial sustainability that was imposed through the Economic Fair Play Regulation in 2011. Two key ideas: don't to spend more than what is earned, avoid financial doping in football. So the Fair Play social project represents a natural extension from the culture of financial sustainability towards the good social performance of the clubs. Its objectives are promote SR as a strategic management tool, promote methodological systematization, measurement, and positive social impact, and generate synergies for mutual knowledge of activities. To achieve these objectives, we had to get tools and methodology that would facilitate the systematization of information and the inclusion of indicators that could allow us to transmit the culture of measurement and reporting. For this, it was decided to adopt the ISO 26000 Social Responsibility Guide, a document that facilitates us the standardization of ESR. So the methodologic tools are in this PPT, especially training in ESR, focusing promote the ESR culture in the all department of a clubs, president, CEOs, human resources management, etc. Program of visit social responsibility in home. This very success project in Fair Play Social 4 years ago, and integration of CSR in the integral scorecard of the organization, and so preparation and personalized analysis of impact data through two types of analysis: the social analysis of the territory and the social return on investment. So the results after the different activities derived from the project, and with this positive perception that the route offers us and the vision that clubs and foundations have given us, we decided to try to identify how it had impact on the work and commitment of the industry and football. So we have the first indicators that offer us interesting results. Progressive incorporation of strategic social management, effective promotion of the measurement culture and impact social action, bringing clubs and foundation closer to the main stakeholders, and implementation the comprehensive scorecard for ESR management. So the main conclusion are the club management model has shown a very important capacity for transformation and adaptation to the social demands in recent years, includes a greater capillarization and both of ESR is perceived, greater training and specialization of the human capital that has traditionally been managing social projects. We had made it possible to move ESR from a charity-based approach to a strategic approach. In the following years, we have to design a sustainable management as a creation of indicator who, in order to favor comparability and reporting with all the results. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Roberto. Again, that was really insightful and will lead in really well to the questions later on in the panel. Next, we have Diego Garcia. He's the CSR Director of Club de Football Fuenlabrada. Hi, Diego. You're on mute.
Hello, now? Yes?
Perfect.
Perfect. Thanks. It is a pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. It's an honor to participate in this Congress. Well, of course, greetings for the rest of the colleagues in the panel. Greetings for everybody in another side of the screen, and we are very happy to be here. Well, in my case, I will be brief. Well, the first thing I think the most important thing is to explain who are we. In our case, we are located in Madrid, in the south of Madrid. Madrid is a capital where there are a lot of professional football teams. In our case, we are in the south of Madrid, very close to another football teams in the first and the professional football teams in the first and second division. Maybe the most important thing in our case is we are in a new club in a professional football league. Only we are along 3 seasons. This season is our 3rd season. Our history is a short history. Only was from 1975, more or less. Yes, and we are of course part of La Liga. In our case, maybe it's not common. The most relevant data is maybe it's not common to create a foundation or to be focused in the CSR aspects when you promote to the professional football league. Maybe the most important thing that the clubs and the board of members focus is in the sports performance. In order to keep this is the main goal, to keep in the professional football league among the best clubs in Spain. Yes, it is very important, but in our case, our board of members, the president, have another vision. This mission is very important to keep among the professional football clubs, but we are another vision. Is okay. Our goal is to keep in second division, to keep our performance, but to be very responsible. As a result, they have decided to create the foundation. This is the step or the time that we are currently working and focus very hard at this moment to create the foundation. And for us, it's very, very important because the vision for the president is to get involved with our local community. And this is the challenge. At this moment, we are working very hard in order to organize our strategy. Our strategy will be or will have the 3 pillars. The relevant pillars are the governance, environmental, and community or social. These are the most our pillars. Around these pillars, we will work in order to develop our strategy. Yes, at this moment we are working in order to implement our methodology. We are working in order to do self-diagnostic in order to analyze our situation and to identify our lacks, our issues, our difficulties to overcome. And yes, this is our situation. Maybe it's a very stressful situation, maybe very challenged and very motivation, this situation. And of course, I am very pleased for me to share this experience with the rest of the people, the clubs, that they have this idea, to create the foundation, to create the strategy in CSR. Yes, this is our situation. Of course, it's not easier way, but we are very proud to build and to develop, and we are very, very motivated with this challenge. For the moment, no more. I am very, very happy to answer their questions after.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Diego. So next up, we have Shubamoy Badari. He's the head of training at the Magic Bus Foundation. Thank you so much for joining us, Shubamoy.
Thank you, Sabine. And just want to check, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And at the outset, again, thank you so much for this invitation. Absolutely pleasure to be in this forum and share with all of you my thoughts. We as an organization, Magic Bus India Foundation, as the name suggests, we started in India and we are operating in India largely. We are a 21-year-old organization. And we started in 1999 with a game of rugby, where our founder started playing rugby and teaching rugby to some young fellows, and suddenly started realizing that what a power of sports can do, and how those young fellows started changing in days to come their behavior, the way they were approaching life by just attending those rugby sessions. And that was the inception for us to think that how sports can be leveraged and sports can be played in a certain way to, for a larger behavioral change with children and youths. Today, as I speak, we are in last 21 years, we have touched almost 1 million lives of youths and adolescents. We are operating largely in India, and we have our operations in Nepal, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. In India, essentially, we are, as we speak, we are close to 400,000 adolescents whom we are working, and we are also working with roughly 75,000 youths in our livelihood program. So the overall program in the organization, we call it as a childhood to livelihood program. And essentially in the childhood space where we are working with the adolescents of age group of 12 to 18 years, we use sports and activity as a methodology to impart life skills. And we understand the essential role the life skills play in adolescents' life. And at the same time, we are giving them some academic skills to complete their education and, at least pass to grade 10th and 12th to complete essentially their school education. And once they complete their school education, we kind of promote them into our livelihood program, which ensures that with the requisite skills and with the requisite skills of livelihood, they are in a position to acquire a job, or if they want to become entrepreneurs, the choice is up to them. So this is how largely the program is operating with adolescents and youth. And we, like I said, we essentially use activities and sports as a medium to impart these things. I'll stop here, Tim, and I'll take the questions later.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Shubhamoy. At the minute, we still don't have Mana on the call, so we will continue with questions to the panelists. And when Mana joins the call, if she can, hopefully then we can get her to introduce herself and the GIFT project. So first to turn to Eleanor and Roberto. So La Liga and La Liga Foundation are in a really unique and positive position to have yourselves working as part of the foundation and supporting the clubs, but supporting the wider impact of the league and the brand of the league within the social space. From your perspectives, from a league-wide approach, what should the approach be to ensuring sustainability and community enhancement through social projects like those you discussed in your presentations?
Roberto, do you want to speak?
Roberto's still on mute. Yeah, there you go.
In our opinion, and based on our experience of the last 4 years, but also as a result of the various international standards on ESR management, the approach should be twofold. First of all, consider stakeholders. But really consider them. We like to call it a stakeholder experience through focus group in order to identify our material information as clubs and to know if we are meeting the expectation of the stakeholders year after year. We will manage not only to involve them, but also to ensure the greatest possible impact on the territory. And the second one, knowing the real needs of the territory and projecting our social activity on them. The aim is not to be able to offer society that what society really needs. In this way, we will avoid falling from the concept of reactive ESR, reaction to a social problem, to a strategic ESR, in our opinion.
Brilliant. And Eleanor, just to add to that, I know you shared some of the key projects that you guys work on, and that's internationally, so that's really successful. Can you just touch on a few of the most successful projects in your opinion, and just explain what has contributed to the success factors of those projects?
Okay, all of us are very important for us. At national level, we have La Liga Genuine Santander for disability people. At international level, we try to work with the main actors that we think that they need our support. So our performance at the international national level is always focused on generating a positive impact on society, and we would like to highlight this. And for that, is very important, I think, and it seems the key to be successful in the things that you do is to measure the impact of the project, how we can change the life of our main actors, and how we can achieve a sustainable presence over the time. So we work very close to our local partners and our local collaborators, and together we follow up our projects. So we are focused on our strategy objectives, and we look for implementing projects in which they can be reflected. So this is the key for us and how we work nowadays.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And just bringing in Diego at this point, so you've got the perspective from the club point of view. How does that work differently for you as a club? How do you formulate your strategy around corporate social responsibility? Who are your key stakeholders, as Roberto referred to? You're on mute.
No.
Perfect.
Yes, thanks. Yes, these things are very, very important. No? Roberto and Elena, they were talking about the stakeholders, about the genuine project. For us, in our case, we are working very hard in order to identify the most relevant and prominent stakeholders. From the club vision or perspective, the most important stakeholders are, of course, the first, maybe the fans, because always they are paying attention about how is our performance regarding to the social development, social performance. And it is very important for all the clubs to work in this line, to work aligned with the interest that the coincidence with the same interest for the stakeholders. In the case of the fans, you know, they always are very proud to check how the club is working or is progressing in a social, in order to implement a social projects. In the case of the genuine, for example, the genuine project for La Liga, for us it is very, very, very important. In our case, we are working in order to create this team, the team that they will play in La Liga Genuine. In our case, it's a very challenged goal, because we will be the first time we will participate. This project is very, very important for us. Maybe it's the most relevant project. It's very amazing project. Of course, for the Spanish Football League, for La Liga, we receive a very important support to organize and to create these teams. And at this moment, we are working very hard in order to create. The idea, you know, is to create a team composed for people living in intellectual disabilities. In our case, the first goal is to get involved people living in our local community, because our idea always is to support people in the local community. Precisely next week, we will have the first meeting with the footballers, with the associations that we are collaboration, no? Because these foundations are for us a very, very important key role in order to create this team, because they are working from a lot of time with these guys. Our idea, of course, is to collaborate with them. They support us. It's a very good collaboration. And yes, the genuine team maybe is the most relevant challenge at this moment in the club. And related to the stakeholders, yes, fans, Media, of course, city hall, local government is very, very important to have a fluid and friendly relation with the city halls. In the case of Spain, for example, they are owners of the stadiums. The majority part of the football clubs, in the majority part of the football clubs, the stadiums are for the city hall. Yes, media, of course, internal in terms to internal stakeholders, very important to get involved the rest of the colleagues inside the club, the board of members. Maybe this is the most important thing, because thanks to them you will have a pathway or ground training to work. Yes, colleagues, footballers, of course, is very, very important, because maybe it's our most relevant asset. The footballers, and they have a very important capacity to influence over the society, and they are very, very important to get involved in our projects. More or less, this is our vision from the club. In this case, the club, new club in second division or in the Spanish Football League.
Brilliant, thank you so much. And yeah, I mean, you touched on some really important points there around the various impacts of the various stakeholders that can be involved, and the power that they will then hold in how successful or how far-reaching your projects can be. And just to pull in Marius, I know you are our keynote speaker, but just to bring in your expertise there, because I think this will be quite useful for those of the listeners to this session. From your expertise, how important is the communication strategy behind some of these CSR projects, and therefore the success of them once you come off the ground?
Mm-hmm. Yes, the communication, it is very, very important. No, if you don't have a very good fluid communication, if you are not able to share with the rest of the people your projects, you have a huge problem. If the fans they know your projects, they know your performance, it is not good, of course, because you are invest a lot of hours, a lot of efforts to support the local community. And on the other hand, if the people, our fans, don't know our projects, of course it is complicated. I am aware in all the football clubs it is very complicated. It's a very good question, a very key question, because the relationship between the fans and the foundation, the foundation and the communication department sometimes is not easier to keep, because it's very stressful. I understand perfectly, I am aware, because they always are paying attention to communicate the football, and I understand perfectly. But the football is the core business. This is the most important thing. The fans always, they are looking for information about the update news. The football is passion, and for them it's very important. And among these news for us, for the CSR departments, foundations, wow, it is very important to introduce any news related to our project. Sometimes it's very difficult, but it is very, very important. Maybe not the foundation news, the corporate news. It is very complicated to find a slot among the scheme, the communication scheme. But it is very, very important. Yes, a very, very good question. Maybe in all the football clubs, the management is completely different. It is very important, the communication department and the club from the top of the positions believe in CSR. This is the most important thing.
Thank you so much, Diego. Marius, I recognize you were ready to kind of jump in there as well. So I guess just from your perspective, you guys obviously have a collective of sports organizations who do a lot of really great work. And I, for one, wasn't aware of some of the really great work happening in other regions of Europe. I've worked in CSR 11 years now within the Premier League, and I wasn't aware of what was happening across the water, but your collective approach to building that emphasis behind the communications and the recognition of the work is really important. What kind of tips would you give to other areas of development from a communications background?
Yeah, I mean, I can only underline a few things that Diego already mentioned. So I think it's really important that when you do social work, that you also communicate your work, because I think especially in the upcoming years, there will be a lot of potential in terms of also revenues or sponsoring for the clubs, because that's what I tried also to highlight a bit throughout my keynote, is an experience that is, we have heard from many clubs nowadays, that when sponsors come in and want to actually sponsor, of course, the first team, they want to get visibility through the first team. But at the same time, they are interested in, they are asking questions. Okay, we have a CSR policy, because also a lot of governments or the European Union is demanding this from bigger companies. So they are asking, okay, we are actually also interested in you, in the social side of your work. So, and I think there it's really important that you communicate what you do, and that you also include this social work in the communication towards sponsors and other partners, especially, of course, also towards the fans, as Diego already highlighted. Sometimes we know the problem with some of our members as well. Sometimes it's difficult to find the right time slots to communicate certain projects. Maybe the team lost the last weekend against the biggest rival. When they communicate about a project, the fans are commenting, yeah, shouldn't we get new players involved? Why are you talking about these projects? These kind of classic reactions, we see them, but still, I think it's very important to communicate. And I think communication has a lot of potential in terms of getting people involved in your projects as well. Fans might be interested to join as a participant, as a volunteer. Maybe they are having their own small business and they are interested in actually donating things or to sponsor some smaller projects. So I think their communication is really important and can help the foundation, but also the club itself.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Depending on how well your club is doing, sometimes you support the CSR work more than you support what they're doing on the pitch. So sometimes it can work really well. Shubhamoy, just turning to you now. So you and your organization are a regional social development enhancer. So from a funding point of view, what challenges have you faced, or what tips do you have to overcome any barriers you may have faced?
Yeah, thank you, Sidem. And I just want to pick what Marius just said about the communication and how important it is, And what we feel at this point in time is that the entire perspective around sports, right? The entire perspective around football. I mean, either it is, there are two extremes to it. One extreme is that it is always looked at the competitive side of it. That you play, you become a professional, and you only play tournaments, and winning and losing is the only discussion which you are having. And the other side of it is a leisure activity. I mean, our schools are like that. So you study the entire day, and then you have one period of one class of sports only or playing time. So it is completely lopsided. And that's when the communication becomes extremely difficult, that how sports can be leveraged for social change. The difficulty is that everyone understands the values sports is providing, be it teamwork, be it leadership, be it decision-making skills, you name it and you have it types. But the problem is that it gets confined only to the playground. It never transfers or comes out of the playground into the life, where people start practicing those things which they are learning on the ground and practicing off the ground as well. So I think that transfer and that transference is where the people really find it difficult. And for that matter, you will also see, and I'll just take an example of education. Like, a lot of donors in this part of the world want to invest on education, right? And even they're investing on education, they want every child to complete school, or every child to go to school regularly, and all those things. But at the same time, they also need to understand that how will a child go to school, and what are the destabilizers? What are the barriers for the child to go to school? And if the child is not able to overcome or navigate those destabilizers, then it becomes extremely difficult. Even you are investing money on education. And that's where these skills of assertiveness, negotiation, decision making, problem solving things comes into play. And that's where sports comes into play, that how you inculcate these life skills into the child along with the academic knowledge, for them to get into what you want at the end of the day, which is probably completing their school education. But the problem lies that sports education are always looked in isolation. So that connection, that what role sports can play in bringing those children back to school, is sometimes gets very difficult to communicate, or sometimes it's misunderstood. However, a lot of data shows us that the day when there is a sports class in the school, the attendance is full. That's the only day when the children are kind of turning up, when they know that, okay, today if we are going to school, we'll get a chance to play. So, but how that can be leveraged more and more is something which needs to be seen. The last point I want to put here is that because of this pandemic situation, a lot of funding is going towards health and livelihoods, and which is understandably so, because these are the two areas which got impacted the most. But at the same time, we also have to understand the role sports can play in rehabilitation, especially during the post-pandemic or any natural calamity or natural disaster. And there have been enough programs like that, and enough studies shown us that what role sports can play, and especially considering those children who are possibly out of their school for last 17 months and they are not able to go out and play, and there are lockdowns. So all these things, with all these restrictions, and we see a lot of studies which are talking about the effect on their mental health, right? So it is extremely important then how sports should also be looked at in not only health or livelihood, but also to get people back to where they were in the pre-COVID situation or a pre-pandemic situation, and how sports can be leveraged. And that investment is, I feel, equally important, because we see around us how many personal losses has happened. I mean, there are children who have probably lost both of their parents because of the COVID. So how we work with those children, how we bring a life into what they are doing and engage with them, is something which is very, very important. And I end by saying this, that we choose to invest on whichever domain, be it education, be it health, or be it gender. But the thing is that the moment you add the life skills bit into it, and you generate those life skills through sports, the chances of you moving up there and achieving what you want to achieve becomes much more higher than only just investing on that particular domain. Yeah.
Thank you, Shubhamoy. And you touched on some really important points there. And obviously the landscape and particularly the impact that fans and wider stakeholders are expecting from football has really changed over the last 18 months due to the pandemic. So football and sport has meant something very different to so many people. So we almost have very different responsibilities on our shoulders as practitioners within this field. So just kind of keeping to that theme, Diego, if you don't mind me turning to you again, what do you think the trends are in terms of your region? What are the trends going to be for the next 12 months now that we're kind of edging towards a post-pandemic phase?
Yes, well, thanks. Well, in order to be positive related to the communication, that the question that you previous told me, when in the communication departments, when they check, the fans are very proud with the social projects, the engagement in the social media grow, and normally it's right. Related to the forecast in these times, of course, it's a challenge period. Maybe, or at least in our case, our vision is to work very hard in the environmental things. I don't know who or how manage the rest of the clubs around the world, but our vision is this: we will work very focused in order to launch a lot of projects in environmental, in order to support our little support in order to avoid the climate change. Maybe is the most important thing around the world at this moment, and this is our idea. At this moment, we are working very hard in order to develop a huge strategy in this line. In this case, we have two perspectives, of course, internal. Because the environmental things are very important. Not or in the football clubs we have two roles, no? Internal, in order to enhance our performance, because we have a lot of garbage, no? All the matches, for example, all the trainings. As a result, we need to manage well these things. But on the other hand, in the external vision, of course, we are aware we are a football club. As a result, we have a good opportunity to foster, to promote, to encourage the people are more responsible with this, more sensitive, and this is our idea to work in order to develop sustainability and mobility, for example, recycling, many things. This is our idea. I don't know in the case of the rest of the clubs, maybe it will be a trend among a lot of football clubs, because this topic or this issue is very relevant. No, this is our vision.
Sounds really good. We're looking forward to seeing more from yourselves. And just to come back to something you said, Roberto, if you don't mind, you mentioned the impact of human resource in terms of the success rate of projects. Can we just expand on that a little bit more? When we're talking about environmental sustainability, for example, how do we ensure that staff who are on the front line or who are part of the development and the strategy behind these projects, how do we ensure that they are well equipped with what is the need, what's the current need?
So thank you. I prefer my partner, Elena Montoro, to respond.
Absolutely.
Yes. Well, through our project Social Fair Play, we work to improve the capacity of the human resources in the clubs and the foundation to try to improve their social responsibility plans. So training and education is very important for our foundation, and we are completely focused to capacity the people who work in the football sector, in the football industry, to be more professional. And even in the human resources in our projects is very important, because in this pandemic situation, we have done a huge effort to try to do a digital plan to capacity these people in another countries to follow up all our courses and capacity plans, and don't stop the capacity building. So the human resources for this reason is very important, and even the human resources of the clubs, of all the Spanish clubs. More professional they are, better we can work. And for the football industry, I think this is very important, and we need to continue to be more prepared for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, something you said there really important is to ensure that the projects that we may do, whether they're domestically within our own leagues and our own countries, but when we go out and do work internationally, we need to make sure there's some form of succession planning there, so that the project itself is very sustainable as well, so that we're upskilling people on the ground so that they can continue the great work that, for example, La Liga Foundation goes out and does. So I guess just touching on that, in a couple of the presentations and the introductions, a few of you mentioned the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the things that I've recognized working in this area is that there is very mixed level of education around the Sustainable Development Goals. Not every region is as well equipped with the understanding of the SDGs as, for example, yourselves at the La Liga Foundation, where you've used that and it's part of your strategy. So what could we do potentially to try and kind of bridge that gap between the education and the understanding of what sustainable development is, and to move away from the concept of it just being around the environmental sustainability? There are obviously other factors to development.
So in our case, we try to work with our partners since the beginning. So we implement our project and we try to support them to understand the so important key issue nowadays. So, and most of them, they are completely, they have the knowledge to know which are these objectives and how we can achieve these objectives. So, and if not, we explain at the beginning of our collaboration that this is the main objective, that we are completely focused on several ones because we have our focus area, and to fulfill them is a serious job. And since the beginning of the project, we have a evaluation guideline to follow up if we are fulfilled them or not. And even for the environment sustainability, in this, we are trying to work in this aspect this year with our local partners in other countries and even with our clubs in Spain. And the same, and we follow up the same strategy. It's training, and method. If you have a social method, is you measure your impact and in which objective you are impact, the results are going to be better.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Eleanor. And thank you to the rest of our panelists as well. It's been a really insightful session for myself, and I'm sure for all of the listeners. I hope you guys have also taken from the session and enjoyed sharing some of your insights and expertise with us. So in terms of some of the top lines for me is around the communication strategy behind our processes, understanding the strategy for our CSR projects, understanding the need of our local communities, but also looking at training our staff internally, but also on the ground where we are delivering to ensure the sustainable succession of the projects that we deliver. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much. And I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the conference. Take care.